to address problems in your agencies. But how can you be sure that they do not cause any undue burden to your stakeholders? Republic Act 11032 requires the Executive Department, including the national government agencies and offices, government-owned and controlled corporations, local government units, and other instrumentalities to subject their proposed and existing regulations affecting a large number of groups or facing numerous oppositors to Regulatory Impact Assessment or RIA. An agency using RIA examines the impacts of different policy options it has. This is to identify which is the most economical and beneficial for the Filipino people. The outcome of the assessment or the regulatory impact statement shall be submitted to the Anti-Red Tape Authority or ARTA for its review and recommendation, being the central oversight body for RIA. In October 2021, ARTA has launched the Ria Manual. The reference indicates a step-by-step guide in preparing RIA to easily aid government agencies. It is free for download at www.arta.gov.ph. Good afternoon, everyone. A few reminders before we officially commence this event this afternoon. First, this meeting will be recorded for purposes of documentation.
Recording in progress.
That's it. You heard it right. You may access our artist privacy policy at our website, https://arta.gov.ph/pages/data privacy. Also, we have a few house rules to ensure the smooth flow of this program, starting with changing your account names to the format that is now flashed on your screens. So kindly please include your organization and designation beside your name. Example, ARTA-PDO1 de la Cruz. Your microphones shall be muted at all times so as not to disrupt the presentations of our speakers. Next slide, please. Also, the discussions will be moderated to guide the conversation. So kindly please use the raise hand button so that I can acknowledge you to speak. You may also use the chat box to type in your questions. If you have other concerns or queries not related to the event this afternoon, you may send a private message to any member of the organizing team. Before we proceed with our program proper, let us start this afternoon with a word of prayer to be led by Director Melanie Aspirin of ARTA's Investigation, Enforcement, and Litigation Office, or IELO. Director Mimi.
Let us put ourselves in the holy presence of our Lord. Almighty Father, we thank you for gathering us all here as we embark together on our common mission on giving efficient government service. Please give us knowledge and wisdom so we can continue to serve our countrymen. Please continue to guide and enlighten us and bless us with good health so we may have the strength and the will to do what is right for our country and for your greater glory. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, kaya sa sinananan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ng pagaw, ay hinatang tulang awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidinig. Lumang ang araw ng wala,
Once again, good afternoon, everyone, to our esteemed guests, colleagues in public service, of course, friends and partners from the private sector, including the media. Welcome to the ceremonial launching of the Joint Memorandum Circular of the Philippine for the establishment of the Philippine Ease of Doing Business Reporting System. I am Ria Fernandez Obrina, the head of communications of the Anti-Red Tape Authority, your host for today's event. So please be reminded that we are being joined by some of our friends from the media sector, namely Ms. Irma Isip from Malayan Business Insight, Ms. Luella Desideria from Philippine Star, Ms. Bernie Magkilat from Manila Bulletin, Ms. Othel Campos from Philippine Star, Mr. Jackie Pascual from ABS-CBN, Mr. Miko Achave from Business World, Ms. Ana Lea Gonzalez from the Manila Times, and Mr. Tyrod Piad from Business Mirror. We are also being streamed live on our Facebook page at Anti-Red Tape Authority and Presidential Communications Operations Office or PCOO pages, care of our constant partner in this relative events, the Radio Television Malacanang or RTVM. You may also get bits of information to this event and even other activities of ARTA by following all of our social media sites or platforms, that is www.arta.gov.ph for Facebook and YouTube, Anti-Red Tape Authority, for Twitter and Instagram at ARTA.gov.ph, for TikTok at Anti-Red Tape Authority. If you have other concerns, you may email us at info@arta.gov.ph. For complaint-specific concern, it's complaints@arta.gov.ph. Wait, there's more. We also have our Viber community, and it has been growing ever since. So please join us to get latest updates straight from the authority by scanning the QR code that you are now seeing on your screens. The Philippine Eodb reporting system is inspired by the World Bank Group's Discontinued Doing Business report. It employs the use of a localized methodology and criteria to better fit the Philippine setting. And we'll learn more about it as we go along with the program. In the meantime, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you our ARTA Director General, Secretary Jeremiah Bellica, for his welcome and opening message.
Greetings, everyone. To our dear secretaries, Secretary Ramon M. Lopez of the Department of Trade and Industry, Secretary Eduardo M. Año of the Department of Interior and Local Government, to our Secretary Leoncio B. Evasco Jr. of the Office of the Presidential Advisor on Streamlining of Government Processes, to our Secretary of Finance, Secretary Sani Dominguez, to our Secretary of the National Economic and Development Authority, Secretary Carl Chua, to our acting secretaries of the Department of Budget and Management, Secretary Tina Kanda, to our acting secretary of the Department of Information and Communications Technology, Secretary Emmanuel Ray Kaintik, to the President of the Development Academy of the Philippines, President Attorney Engelbert Caronan, to the representative for the private sector, Mr. Peter Wallace and Alan Wong Botloy of the Eodb Anti-Red Tape Advisory Council, to our friends from the University of the Philippines, Philippine Public Administration Research and Extension Services Foundation, or UPPAF Respond, our friends from the World Bank Group, other participating organizations, government agencies, media practitioners, and my colleagues from the Anti-Red Tape Authority. Good day to everyone, and I hope everyone is well and safe. In the recent statement of the World Bank Group, they announced the discontinuation of the Doing Business survey for all countries who have been participating in this very important and successful surveys around the world. We do believe that the Doing Business survey has really given our country a lot of boost and taught us to emphasize our efforts on the easing of doing business in our country. But like any other efforts and projects, many good things in life would really need to come to an end. The discontinuation, however, of this doing business report or survey done by the World Bank has opened an opportunity for the ARTA or the Anti-Red Tape Authority and our advisory council to propose and pursue a localized version of this ease of doing business reporting scheme. We do believe that by contextualizing our measurement and our surveys, we would be able to have a more responsive and more contextualized competition, not only against our neighboring countries in within the region and elsewhere, but more so within our localized context between government agencies and between local government units. A healthy competition is one of the bedrock or is always one of the fundamental principle of an increasing competitive free market. We do believe that in our country, by encouraging our private sectors to participate in calling the attention and providing recommendations to our different government agencies who are involved in regulating the life cycle of a business enterprise, we would be able to achieve a leaner and a more streamlined processes when it comes to our doing business in our country. With this, we do want to thank all of the participating agencies who are signatories to this Joint Memorandum Circular that ARTA, together with our partner agencies, are rolling out very soon. We do hope that through this Philippine Eodb reporting system, we would be able to not only continue the good practices that we have discovered and we have already established throughout the years because of the World Bank Doing Business Survey, but we would even be able to enhance and even embetter our services as we go along with this Philippine Ease of Doing Business reporting scheme. With this, we want to thank our dear President for leading our campaign against red tape and against corruption. Ang ating hong Pangulo ang tunay na konduktor ng tren ng pagbabago laban sa red tape at corruption. ARTA's commitment is unwavering. We will continue to pursue and even to increase the momentum of our reform train against red tape, because we have always said that in times of public calamity or in times of public emergencies like what we have now in our pandemic, red tape is indeed deadly. Sa Tagalog, sa panunho ng pandemya at trahedya, ang red tape ay nakamamatay. So please do join us in this new journey and new chapter of our Doing Business survey. And we do believe that with us joining hands together, we shall be seeing better things to come and unfold before us, especially in our fight against red tape and for the streamlining of government services. And as I have always said, that the train of reform against red tape is already on the move. And it's already increasing in momentum. And whoever tries to go against this reform train of the people will simply be run over. Thank you very much, and God bless us all, and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you so much, Secretary Jeremiah B. Belica, the Director General of the Anti-Red Tape Authority, for your message. ARTA adopts a whole-of-government approach in improving the country's competitiveness, and with this, it has formed strong partnerships with across all agencies to effectively carry out its mandate. To deliver the keynote speech, let us give the virtual floor to the Department of Trade and Industry Secretary, Honorable Ramon M. Lopez.
Secretary Jeremiah Belica, Anti-Red Tape Authority, Secretary Ed Año of the DILG, Secretary Leoncio June Evasco of the Office of the Presidential Advisor on Streamlining of Government Processes, Yusek Perez, Yusek Bringas, Yusek Kita of ARTA, and Mr. Peter Wallace, our private sector representative in the ARTA Advisory Council, Sa inyo po lahat, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today, we take an important step in support of the Ease of Doing Business and the Efficient Government Service Delivery Act, or the RA 11032, which is aimed to reduce red tape and create a better regulatory and business environment for the country. First of all, I wish to congratulate Anti-Red Tape Authority, ARTA, for organizing the oversight agencies, private sector representatives, and development partners in preparing this Joint Memorandum Circular, JMC, on the guidelines for the establishment of the Philippine Eodb reporting system. This highlights the importance of adopting a whole-of-nation approach to achieve our goal, particularly in establishing our very own localized version of the World Bank's Doing Business report. Again, we stress the importance of our own tracking of our EODB efforts even outside the World Bank reporting system because improvement in this area is critical and it redounds to a more comfortable life for our people. Hindi na sila pipila, hindi na sila mahihirapan, and this is what matters most to all of us, especially to our President. With this initiative, ARTA has clearly connected regulatory environment with economic outcomes. By having a system in place for regulatory review, assessment, and monitoring, the quality and effectiveness of government reforms that affect business operations can be evaluated more accurately. It will help us identify reform successes and areas for improvement. Through this initiative, we can expect better business regulations unriddled with red tape in a sound regulatory environment. More than that, it will inspire in us a mindset for continuous reforms to spur business activity, reforms that keep in step with advances in technology and innovation. As the team starts its work, let me suggest some areas that should be kept in mind. First, it is important to have a framework for the indicator system, particularly one that will support a sustainable business policy index. Such a framework shall stress social and environmental sustainability, which is not new since the Cities and Municipalities Competitiveness Index, or CMCI, which the DTI is managing, recently added a fifth pillar on resiliency. Secondly, there is a need to measure impact. Beyond measuring steps, processing time, and cost, the reporting system may include impact indicators. For starting a business, for instance, indicators on the increase in the number of business registrations because of reforms may be included. Third, simplify data collection procedures. Given time constraints, the team may wish to consider simple and practical data collection methodology and harness existing surveys and monitoring projects by the agencies. And lastly, the need for third-party validation. The private sector members of the technical working group, as well as other private sector organizations, may be tapped to identify priority areas as well as participate in the surveys that will be developed as part of the reporting system. Developing a local EODB reporting system is a major endeavor that would require the cooperation, skills, and time of various agencies. There are many benefits to having this system. I enjoin ARTA and the TWG to fast-track the development and implementation of the localized EODB reporting system so that initial findings can be released ideally before June of this year. As we heed the call of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte to reduce the time required for transacting with public offices, we bear in mind that we are promoting our nation's competitiveness and enhancing our business climate, and together, we contribute to our country's recovery from the pandemic. I encourage our friends and colleagues in government to continuously improve their processes to promote doing business in the Philippines and, as we at DTI say, make it happen in the Philippines as far as we try to attract foreign investors. So congratulations po more power to ARTA and the members of the DWG. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay tayong lahat.
Thank you so much for your suggestions, Secretary. Again, that was Secretary Ramon M. Lopez of the Department of Trade and Industry. Maraming salamat po, Secmon. Another official, top official in government sending us a congratulatory message is none other than one of our partners, Secretary Leoncio Evasco Jr., the Presidential Advisor on Streamlining of Government Processes. Please watch this.
Director General Jeremiah Belhica, Secretary Mon Lopez, Secretary Ed Anyu, ARTA officials, and other guests, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to commend Secretary Jeremiah Belhica and the whole of ARTA for this milestone. It is with great pleasure that the Office of the Presidential Advisor on Streamlining of Government Processes is a witness to this momentous event. As you all know, the administration has been steadfast in pursuing an environment conducive for business and investment for the purpose of boosting the Philippine economy. With the help of all the agencies and stakeholders, the country has maintained its GDP growth, with the Eodb predicting a 5.5% increase for 2022. With this development, it shows that all efforts for the past 6 years have not been in vain, even with the current pandemic that has plagued the country and the world for 2 years. This effort, the setting up of the Philippines Ease of Doing Business reporting system, will be of great help in encouraging all government agencies and local government units that provide services to the public and businesses to set up and step up and provide the easiest way of dealing with applications for licenses, permits, and clearances. This will not only improve the competitiveness of the country on doing business, but will also be of great help to our countrymen who would want to set up businesses for less cost and less hassle. Guided by the 10 Philippine Good Regulatory Principles, the Philippines Eodb reporting system will be the hallmark of the country's effort in furthering Republic Act No. 11032 through regulating the business processes in the government, paving the way for easier and more efficient transactions. The reporting system shall prove to be a great step in addressing the many issues surrounding the different industries involved in the country's development, such as in the housing and mining sectors, transportation, import and export, energy, and so on. Such efforts bring a great deal of hope for the future of the economy of the Philippines as we all gear towards further globalization and putting the country on the map as a progressive nation. For the past years, ARTA has been doing a great job in advancing the efforts of the government in eliminating unnecessary red tape in the bureaucracy through the improvement of government processes with the goal of opening more economic opportunities for our fellow countrymen. As we end this event on a high note, I would like to express again in behalf of the Office for the Presidential Advisor on Streamlining Government Processes, my deepest gratitude to Secretary Benhica and ARTA for giving us the opportunity to be a part of this undertaking. With this, we commit to provide any assistance that we can to the authority. It is our hope that as we move forward in our efforts to simplify, streamline, and harmonize all systems in the government to better provide services to those who need them, we are able to improve the lives of the Filipino people by bringing them a government that is accessible, efficient, and most especially people-centered and driven. Daghang salamat at mayong hapon.
Wow, we are humbled, very much humbled with your kind words, Secretary Evasco. Of course, ARTA won't be able to do this alone without your help and support. And we are all doing this to be able to provide better services to the Filipino people. At this point, of course, on behalf of the Anti-Red Tape Authority, I announce the official launching of the Joint Memorandum Circular for the establishment of the Philippine Ease of Doing Business Reporting System. Congratulations, of course, to ARTA and all the government agencies who invested time to be able to come up with this another milestone for the Filipino people. And of course, the ARTA will be presenting to you some videos of some government agencies. These are symbolic videos, manifestations of their support to our JMC. And we will start definitely with our Secretary Jeremiah B. Bellica. Once again, Secretary Jeremiah B. Bellica signing the JMC for the Philippine Eodb reporting system. You are now seeing Secretary Emmanuel Rey Caintic, the Secretary of the Department of Information and Communications Technology, affixing his signature as a manifestation of support to this latest initiative of ARTA. Secretary Ramon M. Lopez of the Department of Trade and Industry, affixing his digital signature on the document. Now, Secretary Leoncio June Evasco is signing the document. We are being streamed live on ARTA Facebook page as well as on PCOO and RTVM pages. You can also watch this event live on our YouTube channel, that is Anti-Red Tape Authority. For those who have just tuned in, Secretary Leoncio Evasco Jr. is now raising the document as seen on his video. The document is the JMC for the establishment of the Philippine Eodb reporting system. At this juncture, you are now seeing Mr. Sir Alan Wong Batloy, the private sector representative to the Eodb Art Advisory Council. Once again, Sir Alan Wong Batloy, private sector representative of Eodb Art Advisory Council. Now we have Secretary Tina Rose Maricanda of the Department of Budget and Management. And of course, Secretary Carl Chua of NEDA.
The
Also
Development Academy of the Philippines congratulates the Anti-Red Tape Authority in finalizing this Joint Memorandum Circular on the localized Eodb reporting system. This endeavor attests to the steadfast commitment of ARTA and the participating agencies to promote a sound regulatory environment and efficient and transparent delivery of government services to the people.
That was DAP President or Development Academy of the Philippines President Engelbert Caronan Jr., Sir Jojo Caronan. And there you have it. They are the agencies led by the Anti-Red Tape Authority who signified their support to the Joint Memorandum Circular or JMC for the establishment of the Philippine Ease of Doing Business Reporting System. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you so much for your support. This is yet another historic event for the Philippine government and for the rest of the Filipino people. So at this juncture, before we jump to the presentation of the salient features, we would like to, of course, make this a timeless piece. We have Miss Angel Mabiog, the PDO2 of the Doing Business team of the Anti-Red Tape Authority to lead the photo opportunity. Miss Angel.
Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Ria. I have two screens po to take a snapshot of. So I would like to ask our participants to please turn on your cameras for this picture taking. All right. So I will now be taking the first screen. So hold on to your smiles. 1, 2, 3, smiles.
Don't really know what this ink is. It's a Sailor Gentle ink. It's blue. It's close to Compaq.
One more time po. 1, 2, 3, smile. Next screen po. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay na po. Thank you po, everyone.
Thank you so much, Miss Angel Mabiog from the Doing Business Division of the Anti-Red Tape Authority for leading the photo opportunity. And as I mentioned, we will be having the presentation of the salient features of this new JMC, the JMC for the establishment of the Philippine Ease of Doing Business Reporting System. And it is my privilege to welcome on the virtual floor our Deputy Director General for Operations, Undersecretary Ernesto V. Perez. Sir?
Thank you, Ria. Good afternoon to everyone, our colleagues from both the public and the private sector for this opportunity of presenting to you the salient features of our very own Philippine Ease of Doing Business reporting system. Barely a month after the World Bank announced on August 28, 2021, its decision to discontinue its annual doing business report due to certain data irregularities, we at the Anti-Red Tape Authority decided to continue and proceed with our own local version of the doing business report. While other countries have decided to just no longer pursue the initiatives, we at the Anti-Red Tape Authority, being at the forefront of promoting initiatives in terms of reducing the number of steps, reducing the cost of people dealing with government agencies, we have decided, as we have endorsed, recommended to the Ease of Doing Business Anti-Red Tape Advisory Council to continue with this initiative by way of getting the endorsement from the Council to approve the creation of a technical working group which is primarily tasked to create and design a framework and methodology to assess the ease of doing business and efficient government service delivery in the Philippines. The localized version of the report shall be officially called the Philippine Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Reporting System, or the Philippine Eodb Reporting System. So what is this Philippine Eodb Reporting System? It is a system to be established to measure the quality of regulatory practices that impact the business climate and ease of doing business in the Philippines across the life cycle of a business. It shall also be used to measure compliance with the provisions of Republic Act 11032, or the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Delivery of Government Services Law, by national government agencies, local government units, and other government instrumentalities performing business-related transactions covered by Section 3 of Republic Act 11032, or those national government agencies, government-owned and controlled corporations, including local government units and other government agencies under the executive branch of government. For its pilot implementation, the Eodb reporting system will initially generate a baseline measurement based on ARTA's estimate of the indicators measured by the Doing Business Report using the World Bank DB, or Doing Business Scoring System, methodology, and assumptions only until the end of the pilot implementation phase, to which the authority will update or include guidelines for the succeeding phases. Today, we have already conducted a total of 5 technical working group meetings, which I, as the Undersecretary for Operations, head, and to provide to you all with a brief description of what the system is all about, I would like to share with you the summary. As you can see from the screen, it was agreed to initially anchored on the doing business methodology and supported by the Philippine Good Regulatory Principles and the results of the Report Card Survey, or RCS, to assess and monitor the quality of government reforms, as well as evaluate the compliance to Republic Act 11032. The World Bank's previous doing business methodology will be adopted and to be used as reference to further improve the Philippine ease of doing business and efficient government service delivery reporting system methodology to be applicable and adaptable to the local market. As you can see from the screen, is the composition of the technical working group for establishment of the Philippine Eodb reporting system. This is composed of the Anti-Red Tape Authority as the chair, the Department of Trade and Industry, the Department of Finance, the Department of Information and Communications Technology, the Department of the Interior and Local Government, private sector representatives in the Eodb Anti-Red Tape Advisory Council, the Office of the Presidential Advisor on Streamlining Government Processes as a non-member advisor, the Department of Budget and Management, the Development Academy of the Philippines, and the National Economic Development Authority. We have also invited experts from the University of the Philippines Public Administration Foundation, Regulatory Reforms Support Program for National Development, and from the World Bank Group as our resource persons. Now with this, let me take this opportunity to thank and commend our technical working group members for their valuable inputs and support to this very good initiative. The next slide will show that the establishment of the Philippine Eodb reporting system shall be formalized to a Joint Memorandum Circular, as what we're launching now, crafted and signed by the technical working group members and guided by a work plan to be crafted in consultation with the technical working group and approved by the Ease of Doing Business Anti-Red Tape Advisory Council. Now, the coverage will be the target stakeholders of the system shall be the national government agencies and local government units involved in the 10 indicators or topics covered in the Doing Business report published by the World Bank. As previously monitored in the World Bank Doing Business report, provided that local government units to be covered may be expanded to include cities other than Quezon City as may be determined by the authority. For the components, for the first year of its pilot implementation, the Anti-Red Tape Authority shall identify reform areas to be monitored based on indicators identified under the Bank Doing Business report. Priority shall be given, of course, to the starting a business with the system for business registration and employee reporting to provide of the indicators. Overall, as you can see from the next slide, as the implementing agency for this initiative, the Anti-Red Tape Authority shall oversee the development of the pilot as well as the succeeding phases of the Philippine Eodb reporting, and then speed up the implementation of the Philippine Eodb reporting system and subsequently improve the business climate, encourage investments, and promote economic recovery of the country. Then identify regulatory gaps not sufficiently addressed and recommend appropriate measures. Also, to coordinate with various government agencies, build partnership agreements with private sector, and such other means that will make more efficient and effective the implementation of the Joint Memorandum Circular. Then conduct capacity building trainings and orientation on the conduct of the Philippine Eodb reporting system in collaboration and partnership with various educational training institutions for the design of the training module, and serve as the Secretariat of Technical Working Group, ensuring that the objectives of the Technical Working Group are complied with. Also conduct, next slide please. So therefore, in a nutshell, the Philippine Eodb system aims to establish a baseline integrated, responsive, and sustainable system of reporting that assess, strengthens, and further expands the ongoing ease of doing business reform initiatives of the government, and assess its strengths and effects on the ease of doing business in the country. And of course, the next slide will show that to determine incentive systems with performance of government offices that can be linked and anchored on factual basis for performance targets and measurements. What is the enabling mechanism, as you would probably ask? To support the full operationalization of the Eodb reporting system, the following mechanism shall be put in place. A holistic performance monitoring and assessment framework linked to the other existing government evaluation systems. And then an appropriate rewards and incentive system. Next slide, please. A capacity development strategy, an information communication technology program that supports project documentation, knowledge management, monitoring and evaluation, among all others. That is, online portal where the report will be posted. The communication plan developed in coordination with agencies, local government units, to be covered in the Philippine Ease of Doing Business reporting system that will inform the business sector and the public of the results of the activities conducted under the system. So, what is the continuing with the review and monitoring, a rigorous, which may include new and existing systems of the reforms in ease of doing business. Then the authority, to ensure that it will regularly update the ease of doing business at Anti-Revenue Advisory Council, shall submit a quarterly report after a comprehensive and thorough monitoring and evaluation, such as, of course, but not limited to impact studies, to inform annual implementation cycle, and support the push for national implementation of the Philippine Ease of Doing Business reporting system. Now, as to the question and as to when is the effectivity of the JMC shall take effect immediately upon its approval and upon acknowledgement of receipt of a copy thereof by the Office of the National Administrative Register. So this is a very good initiative that will really, once fully implemented, will improve the country's business climate, attract investors, promote economic recovery, and improve our country's competitiveness. So I urge each and every one of you to please support this endeavor. Maraming salamat po, and thank you for this opportunity of presenting to you the salient features of the Philippine Ease of Doing Business reporting system. Salamat po.
Thank you so much, Undersecretary Ernesto V. Perez, ARTA's Deputy Director General for Operations. Maraming salamat, sir, for that comprehensive presentation of the key features of this latest JMC spearheaded by the Anti-Red Tape Authority. I would just like to acknowledge other officials present today. So let's start with the ICT Project Manager for the National Government Portal, Sylvia Posadas, Undersecretary Arnold Ali Atienza, sir. Good afternoon. DBM SPIB Director Maria Paula B. Domingo, SPIB Miss Mary Cris A. Eugenio, Budget and Management Analyst. Also from OPAS GP, our much beloved Assistant Secretary Maria Teresa Arao Mahiwo. Ma'am, good afternoon. Mr. John Michael Ohano from DAP, Vice President Arnel Abanto, Miss Flor Manalastas from DILG, Miss Lucita de la Peña, Mr. Renze Gelua, and from NEDA, Assistant Secretary Carlos O. Abad Santos, and OIC Director Attorney Reverie Pure G. Sapaen. And of course, from World Bank Group, Dr. Robbie Galang. Sir, good afternoon po. And of course, at this juncture, We are pretty sure that a lot of you have questions in mind regarding this latest JMC led by the Anti-Red Tape Authority. Thus, we open the floor for the open forum. Joining us in the virtual floor is Undersecretary Ernesto V. Perez. He is ready to take your questions. Sir, we have received a number of questions already from the media. But before I read their questions, just to set the discussion, no, sir, let's give a brief history on why the ARTA thought it is best time for us to push for this local DB report. Ano bang kasaysayan nito, sir? Anong pinag-ugatan?
Okay. Thank you, Ria. Just an overview. The latest ranking that we got from the World Bank Annual Doing Business Report was 95. This was a marked improvement from the ranking of 120 out of 190 economies. So last year, we were really looking forward to a much improved ranking by the World Bank as we continue to push for the various initiatives in the 10 indicators. So we submitted to the World Bank all those reforms initiatives that we submitted in the 10 indicators. And we were hoping that once these were accepted, it would result to a marked improvement. But we were having some reservations because sometimes all those reforms or initiatives that we submitted were not really accepted by the World Bank. We were thinking that perhaps there was some disconnect because the World Bank, to validate those reform initiatives that we submitted, they validate this through submission of questionnaires to the various stakeholders. As to which these stakeholders were, we had actually no idea. So we, in fact, in the last 2 years, we wanted to question the result of the ranking, but of course, the World Bank being in the process of doing it for the past years, simply noted. But this time, when the World Bank announced on August 28, 2021, to discontinue its annual doing business survey, instead of shying away or be disheartened by that decision, because after all, those reform initiatives which we submitted will no longer be considered, we at the Anti-Red Tape Authority took this as an opportunity, as a cue to proceed to continue with the various initiatives that we started, which we used to submit to the World Bank. And this time, we are not anymore required to submit our reform initiatives to the World Bank. Instead, it will be the people dealing directly with the government agencies and to rate the agencies as to how they were able to deal business with these various agencies through having a survey of our own, through a report card survey that eventually we will be sending out. And this time, the Anti-Red Tape Authority will be in the front line of evaluating those results that will be submitted by the various applicants. So this time, instead of relying on a third party like the World Bank, this time the Anti-Red Tape Authority, in cooperation with all the various government agencies here, like the National Economic Development Authority, the Development Academy of the Philippines, and the expertise, of course, from the World Bank Group and the UP Respond, which have been helping us, and all the other government agencies represented in the Advisory Council, we are taking this opportunity to continue with our own localized version of the doing business reporting system, so that in such a way, we will be able to have our own way of promoting the business environment in the Philippines, attract investors, because investors look at the World Bank annual survey as a gauge whether or not to invest in a country or not. This time, we are taking cue from that World Bank system by making use of its methodology, the reporting system, during the initial phase. But after the initial phase, we will come up with our own methodology and reporting system.
Thank you so much, Yusek Nes, for that history. At least our media friends and even the other guests have a clear perspective and background of why we have just launched this new JMC. Sir, we have been mentioning, of course, one of our purposes is really to fit this local DB report to the Philippine setting. At this point, were we able to identify what specific indicators, at least the initial ones, to include in this local DB report for us to be able to reflect the true situation and the true pulse of the business community and all the other related stakeholders?
Thank you, Ria. The World Bank used to conduct a survey on the 10 indicators. And these are starting a business, trading across borders, getting credit, etc. No? And this time, we thought that we will start with starting a business to really fast track the registration process with SEC, and if it is a corporation, and if it is a sole proprietorship with the Department of Trade and Industry, if it is a cooperative with the Cooperative Development Authority. So we will focus first on starting a business so that we will be able to help not only the existing companies, but also startup businesses, new businesses, new innovations that would like to register its business with the SEC. So we would like to assist them by ensuring that the processes are streamlined and not burdensome and at least cost as possible, and at the reduced number of steps or reduced time. We intend that in 1 day or half day, anyone who intends to register a corporation will be able to do so with our own Securities and Exchange Commission.
Or for the pilot implementation, what are our target LGUs or NGAs?
World Bank used to do it only in Quezon City. Quezon City being the first biggest in terms of number of business establishment. This time, we are not limiting ourselves to just Quezon City. We will also expand it to other highly urbanized units like cities in Metro Manila, like Parañaque, Pasig, Pasay, Valenzuela, and then other highly urbanized cities in the region or outside Metro Manila.
All right. At this point, we are taking in some questions from the media. Mr. Jackie Pascual of ABS-CBN, sir, are you present? You may ask your questions live, direct to you, Nes, sir.
Hey, good afternoon, sir. This is Jackie Pascual. My question is, how will this new local reporting system affect the ordinary Filipinos? Will they be affected by this new system? And will the system also combat corruption in various government agencies? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yes, it will affect our countrymen in a positive way. They will be assured that even with the suspension by the World Bank of its annual doing business report, the Philippines will continue it with the sole purpose of continuing not only the initiatives we started with the World Bank, but having our own localized version. It will assure our people, as required by the Ease of Doing Business law, that when they deal with government agencies, for example, in their application for permits and licenses, they will be assured that the processes are streamlined at reduced number of documentary requirements and at reduced number of steps or lesser processing time.
Jackie, do you have a follow-up question?
Just the second question is, how will this also combat corruption in government agencies, especially it's hard for people to, for example, open a business or other documents, sir? Thank you.
We always believe at the Anti-Red Tape Authority that to fight corruption, we have to apply technology, use the digital platform. Of course, before we ensure that processes are automated, we ensure that these are streamlined. By applying technology and at the same time ensuring that processes are streamlined, we avoid or we lessen the human intervention. We have this policy under the Ease of Doing Business law, which we call the zero contact policy. So once an applicant submits his application complete with all the requirements and fees have been paid, and if these are submitted online, processing will also be done online, even the payment will be done online. So there is no discretion on the part of the person processing it. As soon as all the documents have been submitted complete with all the requirements, this will ensure that the application will be processed within the standard processing time. There is no need for the applicant to follow up, because under the law, once an application is received, complete with all the requirements and fees have been paid, this is subject to automatic approval. If it goes beyond the standard processing time declared in the agency's citizens charter.
Yes, Yusecness. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions, Jackie?
I'm
related to
good.
this event?
I'm good. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Ria.
Thank you, Jackie, for that
Jackie.
question.
Sir, maybe you would like to expound also the PGRP, because I believe
Oh.
that this Philippine EODB report will ensure the adoption of the PGRP. Ano ba itong PGRP, sir?
As stated in the Memorandum Circular, which we launched today, the EODB reporting system will be anchored on the 10 Philippine Good Regulatory Principles. These 10 Philippine Good Regulatory Principles are adapted based on experiences shared with us, principally through the assistance of experts from the United Kingdom, following their regulators code, which involve about 12 good regulatory practices. Now, we also patterned Philippine Good Regulatory Principles from the practices of our ASEAN neighbors, as well as member countries of the Overseas Economic Cooperation and Development countries. Now, the 10 Philippine Good Regulatory Principles actually, as specifically mentioned in the agencies, will assure regulatory quality, will assure clarity in the way regulators should provide clarity in policy rationale. It should also that regulations should have sound legal and empirical basis. It should also be subjected to cost-benefit analysis, and the regulations should also have a policy coherence. Regulations should also promote competition, risk management, and then as to regulatory review, the regulations should also be subject to assessment of all policy options, and of course to continuous evaluation. Now, to also ensure that the regulation is less burdensome or least cost, it will ensure that it will be subjected to proper consultation, and that regulators should ensure an effective and inclusive stakeholder engagement through maximized channels, a strong feedback mechanism, and proper documentation. It will also adopt a whole of government approach where regulators must work together to support regulatory cooperation in all levels and support regular and continuous regulatory capacity development and initiatives. We have tested this based on experience shared with us by other countries, that if our own government agencies will issue and implement regulations, will be used, will be issued in compliance with the PGRPs, then our people will be assured that these regulations will be less burdensome and at least cost to the public, and will be a streamlined process.
Thank you so much, Yusecness. We have a couple of questions from the media. Tyron Piad of Business Mirror and Luella Desiderio of Philippine Star have similar questions. For Tyrod, when will ARTA release the first ever localized EODB report or target date? And for Luella, following the signing of the JMC, when can initial findings of the report be released? Can it be released before end of current administration's term, Yusecness?
Definitely, Ria. In fact, we are just awaiting the two signatures from the members of the technical working group. We have been assured that they will be signing this. As soon as these are completely signed, hopefully within the week or up to next week, we will register a copy with the Office of the National Administrative Register as required by law, and then we will implement it immediately, Ms. Ria.
Thank you so much, Yusek Nes. Are there other questions from other media companies? Going once, twice, thrice. So I guess that's all the questions from the media. Yusek Nes, before we formally end this open forum, do you have a closing statement for this press conference, Yusek Nes?
First, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us in this event. I would like to thank in particular the members of the technical working group, the representatives of the member agencies. But of course, I would like to especially thank our colleagues from the private sector who shared with us their expertise, particularly from our friends from the UP PAF Respond. I don't know if they're here, Dr. Lianto, and also from the World Bank Group, Dr. Roby Galang, I think he's here. These are the people who supported us in this initiative. We believe that this initiative, once implemented, will really result in much improved services to the public. And I hope that everybody will support this. We are spearheading this. ARTA cannot do this alone. And also I'd like to encourage the support of the media to help us promote this initiative so that the people may know that the Philippines will continue the good initiatives started by the World Bank in terms of the annual doing business report, which investors look at, help them decide whether or not to invest in a country or not. So this initiative, of course, is not just about improving our ranking. It's all about improving government services to the people. Kagaya po ng sinabi ng ating Pangulo, ayaw po niya na mahaba ang pila. Ayaw po niya na pinapahirapan natin ang taong bayan sa tuwing ito ay pupunta sa mga government agencies. Ang reporting system na ito ay comprehensive enough because this will involve not only the government agencies, the regulatory agencies, but the people themselves. Yung taong bayan na mag-apply ng kanilang permit at licenses. And they will be given the opportunity to rate these government agencies. And they will tell us, they will be having their own reporting and ARTA will be monitoring this report which will be submitted directly by the people dealing with government agencies. And also, we will have a way of rewarding government agencies that have improved, that have taken the initiative of improving their system by reducing the number of steps, reducing the number of documents, all with the end in view of improving its services to the Filipino people. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Yusek Nes. And I guess that's really the bottom line of why ARTA spearheaded this JMC for the establishment of Philippine Eodb reporting system. It's not for the ranking alone, but of course, our main goal is to improve the lives of the Filipino people. That's really the bottom line. And that concludes our open forum or press conference. And to formally close the whole program, we are joined by Undersecretary Carlos F. Kita, the Chief of Staff and Deputy Director General for Administration, Finance, and Special Programs of ARTA, who will be delivering his closing remarks. Yusek Kita.
Thank you, Ms. Ria. Good afternoon, everyone. To our special guest, thank you for gracing this important occasion. Firstly, may I, on behalf of the Anti-Red Tape Authority, and our partner agencies, including in the private sector, express my sincerest thanks to our special guests and those who have actively helped us realize the successful launch of the Joint Memorandum Circular on the Ease of Doing Business. Let me recognize the signatory agencies and private sector representatives who made this historic initiative. The Department of Trade and Industry, the Anti-Red Tape Authority, Department of Finance, Department of Information and Communications Technology, Department of the Interior and Local Government, Development Academy of the Philippines, Office of the Presidential Advisor on Streamlining on Government Processes, National Economic and Development Authority, and the private sector representative of the Ease of Doing Business Anti-Red Tape Advisory Council, as represented by Mr. Peter Wallace and Mr. Alan Wong. Now that the Philippine Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Services Delivery Reporting System has been established, coupled with the guiding principles set forth in this JMC and the unwavering commitment of our partners, we are confident that our government will be able to improve the business climate in the country, encourage investment, and promote economic recovery. Finally, let us continue working together, not only to ensure the attainment of the objectives we have set forth in this JMC, but also to serve the public in general in the most efficient way. Thank you and have a pleasant day.
Thank you so much, Yusek Carlos Kita, our Deputy Director General for Administration, Finance, and Special Programs, and ARTA Chief of Staff. And that's it. Once again, congratulations, ARTA, and of course to all our partner agencies for another historic event that we hope will truly bring positive impacts to the lives of the Filipino people. And of course, for more updates straight from the authority, you may follow our social media platforms, and they are as follows. For website, it's www.arta.gov.ph, Facebook, YouTube, Anti-Red Tape Authority, Instagram, Twitter at ARTAGovPH, for email, info@arta.gov.ph, for complaints-related concerns, complaints at arta.gov.ph, and we are also now on TikTok at Anti-Red Tape Authority. You can also join our growing Viber community by scanning this QR code. This has been your host, Ria Fernandez Obina. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ria. Thank you, everyone.
Recording stopped.
Sa bulok ng sistema, walang asenso. Huwag ka nang makubad na sa'yo ang pagbabago. Limutin na masasamang halimbawa. Diskateng panis, itapon na. Magservisyo ng tama, huwag masilaw sa pera sa gobyerno. Dapat buo ang ating tiwala. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Trabaho at papeles, huwag nang ipabukas. Wakasan ng rente patagayan. Sundin ang batas, bilisan ang kilos, kakanda ang bukas. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Kabilis ng takbo ng ating mundo, makunat ang buto. Bumangon na tayo sa bulok ng sistema, walang asenso. Huwag ka nang makupat na sa'yo ang pagbabago. Limutin mo na masasamang halimbawa. Diskateng panis, itapon na. Magservisyo ng tama, huwag masilaw sa pera sa gobyerno. Dapat buo ang ating hiwala. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Trabaho at papeles, Paspas Pilipinas, Paspas Pilipinas, Paspas. Sama-sama tayo ay aahon. Dumating na ang tamang panahon. Matamis na bunga sa mabilis na aksyon. May buwelo na, huwag sayangin ang pagkakataon. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Trabaho at papeles, huwag nang ipabukas. Wakasan ang reling paglagayan, sundin ang batas, bilisan ng kilos, kaganda ang bukas. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Paspas Pilipinas, Paspas Pilipinas, paspas.
Smarter initiatives, better Philippines.